Welcome to another Kentucky Derby edition of HorseCenter, everyone. I am Brian Zipsey, and as always, I have the pleasure of being joined by my co-host from the East Coast, Matt Shipman. How are you today, Matt?
I'm great, Brian. This is going to be the 2-month out Kentucky Derby Watch edition of HorseCenter. Let's do it.
2 months from today, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have left until the first Saturday in May 7th at Churchill Downs. Matt, we want to talk Kentucky Derby, but I can't talk Kentucky Derby just yet, Matt. Do you know why?
I guess we have to talk about Songbird.
Well, she's the best 3-year-old of either gender. She may not be Kentucky Derby pointed, Matt, but I don't think the colts could beat her. Did you see the Santa Isabel?
I did, Brian. And, I'm probably going to get in trouble here a little bit, but I want to see the horse run. I want to see Songbird run. I want to see what she's got. And these races with Mike Smith standing up the whole way around the track, it just doesn't do it for me. And aside from that, I think she's tremendously talented, but she's going to run into some adversity at some point. Every horse does, Brian. And these races where she's running at 50%, that's not going to have her ready. I think Songbird is great, but I'm a horse racing fan, and I want to see the horses run. I don't want to see a workout.
Matt, you're all wet on this one, my friend. Watching Songbird run, and she is running. You can tell because she's running away from her competition on the far turn with just disdainful ease, is a joy to watch. I'm with you, though, on this point. Songbird will eventually get tested. I don't even know if that's going to be the Kentucky Oaks. We do have a good 3-year-old filly crop this year. It's looking like that'll be her toughest test to date, but I don't know if they can touch her. She's just so talented. She's just so good. She runs away from these horses. It's effortless, the long stride. It's Rachel Alexandra-like in her prime. Matt, I don't think Mohaymen would beat her. I don't think Nyquist would beat her at this point. 10 furlongs with competition up front could be a different story, but until that day comes when Songbird is truly tested, I'm going to enjoy watching her do what she does until then. And when she gets tested, hopefully we'll see the kind of heart that the great ones have.
Yeah, you make valid points, Brian. But again, I just keep thinking back. Imagine if they didn't let Secretariat run. So she's one of the best. I see it.
Yeah, well, you're seeing it to some point, Matt. Hey, let's switch gears. Let's get back on the Kentucky Derby trail. You know what? Songbird is not going in the Kentucky Derby. We know that. But maybe a Gotham horse or two are going to make it to the Kentucky Derby. We did see another undefeated horse, as I read your article, Matt, after watching the race. This is the second Kentucky Derby contender, still undefeated from Shadwell Stable. Is Shagaf in the same class that Mohaymen is?
I think at this point, I don't think that Shagaf is quite as good as Mohaymen. He has not run as many times. I think, Brian, you and I were a little bit wrong about Shagaf going into the race. I think he showed a lot more than we expected. He won that race going against just a huge bias towards inside speed all day. That a good handicapper could have made some money playing the right horses on that day. But Shagaf did a great job. Was uncomfortable taking dirt in his face in the early going on the inside, got swung outside, and had a couple of lengths to make up, and showed determination, overcame that tremendous bias, and it was a nice performance from Shagaf.
Now, Matt, I don't know about you, but I actually did bet Shagaf in the Gotham. He was overbet, as I was fearing he would be, but the 3 horses I played were Shagaf, Lauban, and Adventus. So I did win the race, although, of course, I wanted Lauban with the odds. Shagaf was low. Good performance by Shagaf. He's got 2 things going for him as far as I can tell. He's improving. He's a big, strong, well-bred horse who's improving. And he looks like a horse that should like a distance. He might be ready for 1.25 miles soon. He might be ready for, I don't know, 12 furlongs at Belmont in June. So Shagaf is one to watch. I still don't know what to make of Adventist. He looked green again to me. He's running on well at the end, but he doesn't seem to always run well the key points in the race. So he's one to watch with some potential going forward. Gotham, good race, a little slow. Shagaf and Adventist continue to have potential, but they're certainly not in my top five as of now.
Yeah, I agree with that, Brian. And I think Lauban ran a great race. I got to watch the race at Aqueduct in the teletheater just off of the paddock, and Eric Yeo was there, and he was in there rooting for his horse coming down the stretch. He's yelling and screaming and rooting for Aaron Grider to try and get that horse to hang on. And so it was fun. It was fun being around Yeo. And after the race, he said, I think I'm going to have to get out one of my voodoo dolls next time to get a win for the horse. So I agree. Lauban ran great. I think he's going to do some things down the road. Adventus is still green, and Shagaf has got potential.
Yeah, Lauban's still a maiden, of course. Lone speed, though, at Aqueduct is always tough, and that's why one of the reasons I liked him. I thought he had some class, too. All three of them should be back in the wood, Matt, but I also think a couple horses that ran the next day should be in the wood, and I might like them better, or at least as much. They're also lightly raced. Of course, I'm talking about allowance race at Aqueduct yesterday. Matt King Cole and my man Sam ran 1-2. They ran faster. Of course, it was a different day, but they ran faster than the Gotham was run by just about a full second. Matt King Cole took it to the field all the way around, while my man Sam was a fast closing second. What do you think of those two, Matt?
Well, and Matt King Cole was coming back from a tremendous performance in a maiden race at Belmont Park where he got a big speed figure, hadn't run in a while, didn't really have as many works as trainer Linda Rice wanted the horse to have, and had plenty of reason to be tired going down the stretch, and he was a little tired going down the stretch. But I liked what he saw. The race came up, got another big number for an allowance race, so he looked good. It's another horse from the Lady Sheila stable of Sheila Rosenblum, and my man Sam is trained by Chad Brown, and Chad is starting to show his chops on the dirt also. Both are horses who can get better. I don't know if they can get better quick enough for the Derby and to have a great showing in the Derby, but I look for good things from them.
Yeah, both of them are lightly raced. As you mentioned, Matt King Cole making only his first start of the year. My man Sam making only the third start of his life. I think they're both pointed to the wood, although Chad Brown has a decision to make whether he wants to run both Shagaf and my man Sam in the wood. But I tell you what, Matt, watching the races on Saturday, watching the races on Sunday, I think Matt King Cole and my man Sam would have a big chance to win the wood against the Gotham horses. So we'll see. Matt, let's jump into a top 10. We haven't done our Derby top 10 contenders on HorseCenter for a few weeks, Matt, and I know the people out there want to know who's on our current top 10. Who is your number one? Who is your number two, Matt?
My top three haven't changed since the last time. I still have Mohaymen at number one, and Nyquist at number two, and More Spirit at number three. How about you, Brian?
More Spirit's going to get tested this week, Matt, but I have him number two. Now, I'm not saying he is the second best 3-year-old in the country, folks, because I think Nyquist fits into the top 2 3-year-olds in the country right now. But as far as going forward to the Derby, I like More Spirit a lot. So I have Mohaymen number one, like Matt does, the horse to beat right now. And then I have More Spirit at 2, Nyquist at 3. I still have Brody's Cause at number 4, Matt, just because he was one of the horses I liked best going into the holidays. And I know he hasn't run yet this year, but his workouts for Dale Romans are awfully good in South Florida. I still think Brody's Cause has a good chance, and I don't even think he needs to win the Tampa Bay Derby for me to continue to think so.
I agree with that, Brian. But at this point on the road to the Derby, with Brody's Cause having not run yet, I had to drop him down my top 10 a little bit, but I think the horse is tremendously talented, and I hope and expect to see good things from him this coming weekend. And when that happens, I'll move him back up. But we're at that time where, horses got to start showing with only 2 months left and only a couple possible preps left before the Derby.
Matt, I noticed on your list that you have a couple of horses I don't have on my list. I've decided to take the also rans to Mohamed off the list because they really didn't pressure Mohamed that much. So I'm not including Zulu or Greenpoint Crusader at this point on my top 10. Good horses, I want to see more, but I didn't really think much to test Mohamed. Did you?
Um, it is against Mohamed, and I had to put in some other horses. So I put in Zulu and I put in Greenpoint Crusader because they ran second to the horse that I have on top. I think Zulu is still a young horse that could get better, and I think that we can still see better from Greenpoint Crusader. So I expect more from each of them in their next prep race. We'll see when that happens.
Yeah, Matt, I noticed we both moved Shagaf into our top 10, although not high into the top 10. A horse we haven't talked about much yet, but I did move into the top 10 in advance of his San Felipe go, is Dancing Candy from the Clifford Sicey barn. I think he's a talented horse. His 2 wins at Santa Anita have looked very good. And the Son of Twirling Candy, I just want to see what he can do in the San Felipe, but I have a feeling he's going to run a good race on Saturday.
Yeah, and then both you have Smoky Image in there, and I haven't changed my stance on him. I still want to see him put on a show in open company, and I'll tell you what, Brian, I expect him to do that this weekend. And when he does, I'll move him way up in my list. I added Motam into my top 10. I love that move that he made in his last race. I love horses that are going to have a good closing move because we know that is a good style in the Derby, and that's also why I have sudden breaking news in the number 10 spot.
Yeah, there are a couple of horses without much speed, Matt. I like Motam better than sudden breaking news at this point. But Matt's right, and maybe that's not to win the Derby, folks, but maybe that's a horse that can hit the board in the Derby, and those are two likely candidates. Matt, let's jump right in. I think this is maybe the biggest prep week we've had so far in 2016. We got the San Felipe at Santa Anita. We got the Tampa Bay Derby at Tampa Bay Downs, and both have come up interesting races. I think we both think that More Spirit is the horse to beat in Saturday's San Felipe, but he has plenty of competition.
I agree, Brian. In the San Felipe, this is one of the best fields in a Derby prep this season. From More Spirit, who we expect to be the favorite, and rightfully so, to Exaggerator. You and I have been fans of Exaggerator for a long time. Finished second to Nyquist last race out in that 7 furlong stake. We expect big things from that horse in here. Smoky Image, Brian, what's to keep that horse from going to the lead and staying that way all the way around the track? You already mentioned Dancing Candy, talented horse. Uncle Lino in there is a son of Uncle Mo, and the Uncle Mo's have been unbelievable. That horse ran second and a super game second to More Spirit in the Robert B. Lewis. And Baffert's got another one in there with Cupid, who is a son of Tappet, who had a big 5-length maiden special weight win. Tremendous field, Brian.
Yeah, Matt, you can tell I like the field a lot because 4 of my top 10 right now are all in this field. I am not going to jump on the Cupid bandwagon just yet. And I think Uncle Lino, like he did run a good race against More Spirit last time, but I think More Spirit really had him measured. Now, Uncle Lino certainly can improve off that effort. He's a lightly raced son of Uncle Mo, as you said. But to me, it comes down to probably 4 likely winners. And I think all of the 4, like you mentioned, Dancing Candy looking really good. Smoky Image, I think, is a horse that's going to compete well against the open horses. We've both liked Exaggerator all the time, and I think his prep in the San Vicente Mat was underrated. Really good performance there. But I still have to lean towards More Spirit. I think he's leaving stuff left in the tank. I don't think this will be a big win. I don't think this will be necessarily an easy win, but I expect him to be the one running the best at the end. And yeah, tough competition. We'll see how good More Spirit is, but I like him in here. Now in Tampa Bay, we get the return of Brody's Cause.
Yep, I expect to see the best from Brody's Cause in here. I agree with what you said earlier, Brian. He doesn't have to win the race. You know, a nice second or third would be fine also, but we need to see something good from Brody's Cause. You know, he was tremendous in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, finishing third. His win in the Futurity at Keeneland was also terrific. As you said, he's been training tremendously. I expect good things in there. But Destin is in there. We know Destin loves the track after his big win in the Sam F. Davis. One of your under the radar horses, Brian. Another one that I might mention, Outwork, who I wrote a little article about recently, is a Rapoli, Uncle Mo, Pletcher horse. That's a talented horse. Who knows what we're going to see from Outwork in there?
Yeah, Outwork interests me, Matt, as does about 5 or 6 others in there. Awesome Banner, of course, has a lot of speed. He's hoping to bounce back well from a disappointing performance just a couple of weeks ago. I think you got to mention Rafting, who is getting better. Destin got the better of him in the Sam F. Davis, but Rafting is a horse who has potential. Riker was one of the top horses in Canada last year, didn't run a bad Breeders' Cup at all. If you remember, he was there as they straightened out in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Economic Model, another horse who could pop up, I think. But the one I'm most interested in, and the one I think is going to upset this field, is actually Destin. He's the full brother, folks, of Creative Cause. You remember him from his good run of a few years ago. He was in that same crop as I'll Have Another, and Bodie Meister, and Creative Cause was a top horse. This is a full brother to him. He's getting better. Big, good-looking gray. Destin ran well in the Sam F. Davis. I think he's going to win the Tampa Bay Derby against a tough field. But Brody's Cause, like you said, finish well, improve for the next one, which should be the Bluegrass, and then improve for the Derby. Matt, do you have any top picks in either the San Felipe or the Tampa Bay Derby yet for the folks watching us?
Well, going back to the San Felipe for a minute, and I wanted to ask you, Brian, because you're my favorite odds maker. You're You're the guy that knows the prices that horses are going to go off in the San Felipe. What do you think the bettors are going to do in that race, Brian?
Matt, I think that More Spirit will be favored, as I mentioned, but I don't think he'll be a heavy favorite. I think he has the respect of just about everyone, and he's got the connections in Baffert and Stevens. But I think Dancing Candy, I think that Smoky Image are both going to get bet quite a bit. Exaggerator is probably the horse that will offer some value in here. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be 6, 7, 8 to 1, but I think Exaggerator probably will be bet a little bit less than he's earned. And you might find yourself looking at 9 to 2, 5 to 1 on Exaggerator as the third or fourth choice in here. And given his past performances, I think that might be worth the play.
Thank you for that information, Brian. I'm going to surprise you a little bit, and I'm going to make my pick in San Felipe. I feel like More Spirit is not going to win the race, and I'm going to pick Smoky Image.
Smoky Image. I have him on my top 10. You don't even have him on your top 10, but it's good to know that you respect the talented Calbred as well, because we don't want the Calbred fans mad at you, Matt, or at least I don't. Folks, that's another big show, on HorseCenter. We'll be recapping these big races next week. I hope you join us for another Kentucky Derby edition of HorseCenter. As always, we're brought to you by Derby Wars. Thank you again, Matt, for joining me.
My pleasure, as always, Brian, and I want to thank everybody that's been watching our Derby Watch shows, and as always, thank you to our producer, Ember Marr.
We'll see you next week, folks. Thanks for watching.